Alrighty guys, hello and welcome back to the show. So, in the various Discord servers that I joined, there are a lot of new players, which is awesome. Players that are new to the game, discovering it for the first time, coming back to it. Maybe they were growing up like I did and played Supreme Commander. And one of the most common questions that I and the other maybe more experienced people get in these servers is, how do I actually play air? And what is a good air build? What am I trying to do? And kind of the rule of thumb that everybody says is, try and get Tech 3 air by 10 minutes. So today we're going to actually walk through like how I approach and build air. And I can get Tech 3 air at around 10 minutes, a little under 10 minutes, I think. I'm not the best air player in the world. So hopefully this will get you started and hopefully that you can refine the build yourself. So we're going to walk through Tech 3 air build. This is going on Neuroxis map generator. These are the kind of maps that I like to host whenever I'm playing games. So, I mean, this is a pretty mass heavy map, all things to be 100% honest. So maybe I'll do one after this with a little bit less mass. But let's go ahead and get started here. So we've got our commander warping in. We have a hydro here. This is pretty standard for a lot of maps. So the first thing you're going to get, land factory, obviously build all of your core mexes. And then you're going to walk to your hydro. Now you can walk to the hydro even if it's decently far away. Like let's say even if the hydro was like here, it would still be walkable. So you would still be able to like walk your commander there. You wouldn't stall, and it would probably take even a little bit further before you actually stalled going for hydro. So your hydro has to be a pretty far away from your main base in order to not justify walking to it. So you can build all 3 of your core mexes. You can build 4 mexes as well without stalling. I just have 3 that are in range of my commander on this map. So that's what I'm going to be doing. First engineer off the line goes and builds your hydro. Now your commander is going to come here and then is going to not assist the engineer, but build the hydrocarbon power plant. The reason we don't want him assisting is because we want him going to help our allies. So let's say there's a fictitious ally down here in the south, and we want him to go help those allies. That's a very important thing as an air player is don't keep your commander in your base. Your commander is very, very valuable and should be used to help out your allies. So for the third engineer that comes off, I send him out to grab perimeter mexes. We've got a little bit of reclaim over here. Let's go ahead and grab that. These 2 engineers are done. We're actually going to start off with 4 P-gens. And what I like to do if I'm going air is I like to just go straight P-gens for a while, just because you're going to need the power. And I'm going to assume this is a 10 mex build. Realistically, these 2 mexes probably would be mine as well, but we're going to go ahead and assume that this is a 10 mex build for air. Actually 11 mex, because that would also probably be my mex, I think. I think that's justifiably my mex. So next 3 engineers go out and grab perimeter mexes, and we'll just go off and reclaim after they're done. If they find anything great, there's not a whole lot of reclaim on this map. All right, next thing, we need to start getting a Tech 2 mex at this point. So while this power is building, we're able to start getting a Tech 2 mex. And keep an eye on your mass bar. So if you're struggling with mass, like I'm about to stall mass, you can go ahead and pause some different things to prioritize, shift things around a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and pause at least my land factory while I'm getting some of these other mexes up. So that way, as well as my power, so that way we can get some more mass in the tank, because mass is gonna be initially our big problem. So in the jump from Tech 1 to Tech 2, mass is going to be more of your problem. In the jump from Tech 2 to Tech 3, in my experience, energy is more of your problem, but we'll tackle that whenever we get there. So I'm going to go ahead and unpause now because we've gotten a couple more perimeter mexes here. We're going to finish up this mex. Everything is going to be good, but we're going to need some more power. And as these last mexes are done, we're not stalling super bad. This reclaim's about to hit, so that's going to help us out a whole lot to get this first mex up. And just like with the jump to Tech 3 mass extractors, the jump to Tech 2 mass extractors, the first one is always the hardest. So we're going to go ahead and get the second one up. We can start unpausing our factory again. And if you're curious of the hotkeys that I use here, I use Z to pause and unpause factories, as well as units. I believe that is the default hotkey, but if you're interested, you can rebind your hotkeys under the key bindings section here in the menu. And this might not be an optimal build just because I'm also talking while I'm doing this. Going to go ahead and have you assist that. And because we're floating a lot of mass right now, we can go ahead and click another mechs to go up to Tech 2. But again, keeping an eye on this mass bar just to make sure that we don't actually stall because we want to prioritize the mechs that we're actually assisting here. So that would be this guy right here and not this one. All right, so that one's done. The way that I build air also assumes that my allies are going to build interceptors. So this is something you should communicate with your allies. If you're planning on going Tech 3, a lot of the games that I play, pretty much everybody is in Discord. Like on both teams, we just leave everybody in one big Discord. It's kind of funny. So that would be something that you need to communicate with your team on. Same deal goes if you're looking to do like a tech. If you're looking to do a Tech 2 snipe with gunships or something like that. But this is what I do. Okay, so air factory's coming up. We're going to do 3 scouts, go straight to Tech 2. We're also going to click more of these to upgrade. We're going to have these 3 guys assist the air factory. And we're going to start floating mass once again. Or we're not floating mass. We got a lot of mass in our bar. So let's go ahead and upgrade another one. I've actually never played this map because it's a map gen. So with these scouts, you want to get them out and get patrolling. I use patrol routes, and usually I send one to the south, and then I send one down the middle to do like a weird pattern like that to get kind of the air player in there, and then I send one up to the north. So ideally, one of these 3 scouts will get a read on the enemy air player, which is very important. And we're stalling energy a little bit, so we'll go ahead and add one of those. We'll also go ahead and pause one of our mexes that's upgrading to Tech 2. And this is also, keep in mind that this build assumes a little bit of E overflow from your allies, which I probably shouldn't be doing, but it is what it is. So usually we're not stalling at this point. Alright, so coming out of our stall here. Gonna get some more power up. We also want to start thinking about mass storage so we don't have to deal with upgrading as many mexes and draining as much power. Tech 2 HQ is done. Getting some Tech 2 engineers out now. So with these Tech 2 engineers, we need to be building power generators. And so we're gonna build 2 power generators. And where these go, I try to put them where I think my air grid is going to be. So like this is kind of where I'm thinking I'm going to build out my air grid, and then you'll go back and reclaim them eventually. But just think a little bit ahead as far as like where those are going to go. Oh, now we are floating mass. And now we're not floating mass. See, such is the eco in Supreme Commander. One thing that you can do to make this transition a little bit easier is you can build a couple of E-storage, which I'm actually going to do now. I usually do that between Tech 2 and Tech 3, because getting a Tech 3 P-Gen online is actually pretty painful, even off of 2 Tech 2 power generators. So getting a couple of energy storage is good. We're going for another mex upgrade there. So as far as T2 mexes, we're at 6 Tech 2 mexes with another one upgrading. These guys are going to finish that E-storage. They can go and assist that. And then once this power generator goes up, then we can start looking at jumping to Tech 3. We're at 8 minutes here. So I think we'll be able to make it to Tech 3 by 10 minutes. We'll see. There's like next to no reclaim on this map. So actually if I get it by Tech 3, or if I get it by 10 minutes, I'm actually going to be pretty happy with that. Another thing that you can do is build a transport so that you've got engineers. You can airlift Tech 1 engineers to the front line, get yourself a little bit of reclaim that way. So that's another thing that you can do. Last thing is, at this point, we don't really need our factory anymore. We got plenty of Tech 1 engineers. We even got some idle ones that are bumping around. We got guys that are going out for reclaim, and our commander's out to sea. But so we're going to go ahead and reclaim our Tech 1 land factory. So this is pretty important. That is what, 300 mass? 400 mass. I forgot how much it was. So that's going to be 400 mass. That's going to help us out a lot. Positive a little bit on mass. So we're going to go for a mix upgrade. And we'll get to Tech 3, and I think we're going to make it to Tech 3 by, I think we're going to make it by 10 minutes. So, not too shabby, not too shabby at all. And we'll talk a little bit about what to do once you get to Tech 3. Because at this point, you have, if you follow this kind of strategy with like a Tech 3 rush, you've done essentially nothing in this game. Hopefully, while you're managing this stuff, you're also microing your commander up here, helping, you know, your front line, which is something that's really, really important and also really good to do. But we're going to get Tech 3 by 10 minutes just by the skin of our teeth there. Working with 7 Tech 2 mixes with, I think, another one on its way up. So we're going to go ahead and slam this guy to Tech 2 right now as this is coming off the line. So remember how I said we want these Tech 2 P-gens and start thinking about where we want our air grid to go. This is where we want our air grid to go. So we're going to put our first Tech 3 P-gen there. There are a lot of different ways to do this. Some people don't ring their initial factory all the way and then put their first Tech 3 P-gen adjacent, and then build their air grid off that way. I think that's, I don't know which one is better. Like I said, I'm not saying that this is like an ideal build, but this should get you started. This is just the way that I do it. But we go ahead and put all assistance onto the power generator. And we don't want to build any more engineers off of that. As you can see, we're starting to stall energy here. And that, believe it or not, would have eaten through a good portion of our initial E-bar. So if we had a little bit more mass stored up, then these energy storage would have been very useful. It's really good to build these anyway, just because as your comm is on the front line, it's also hopefully overcharging. So you would want that kind of stuff there. Okay, so at this point, and I've had some discussions with various people on what to do at this point in Tech 3 Air. Some people disagree with me, which is perfectly fine. There are essentially kind of two ways that you can go about this. The first way is you can use just your HQ and then assist your HQ with your engineers or with some of your engineers, and then you can go and upgrade mexes to Tech 3, then finish out your air grid. I do it a little bit differently. Which way is better, which way is worse? I'm not 100% sure. This is what works well for me. So what I do is at this point, we go ahead and cancel all this. We go for our air superiority. I don't do early strats very often or ever. A, because I'm bad at them. B, because I don't really like them that much. So next we get started on another factory. And this should get done pretty quickly. We probably want a couple of engineers to assist a little bit more mechs storage. And then we want to queue these up in advance so that these guys are building. Second factory is going to assist the first factory, obviously. So I go for full air superiority initially. And it kind of, I guess it kind of depends. Like if I'm way ahead of my opponent, then I'll go for a strat, but usually I don't find myself in situations where I'm way ahead of my opponent. I usually find that we're either pretty evenly matched or I'm way behind. That's not because I think I'm bad necessarily at air, but usually whenever you're balancing games, you don't want to put a 13 or 1400 against like a 700. That's just bad manners. That's air is probably one of the biggest things that you want to balance in a game. So we're just finishing up a mech storage there. All right, next thing we want to do is we are going to build another, well, actually at this point, judging on our power right now, we can actually go for our first Tech 3 mix. So go for the delete or Control K and then rebuild. The reason why you do this is you get a little bit of a bump on mass from a reclaim perspective, and you can pause things to speed this up a little bit. So we can like pause our mass storage, but at the end of the day, this won't take too terribly long. And while you're doing this, you do have 5 ASF that you can work with at 13 minutes to deal with strats or gunships, stuff like that. This is going to be plenty for you to deal with stuff at this early portion of the game. So at this point, you basically just get kind of all of your core mexes to Tech 3. I would say prioritize. And then I would go for another P-Gen and then probably another 2 air factories. And you just kind of repeat. So start upgrading all of your perimeter mexes to Tech 3 and just continue expanding out your air grid. If you win an air fight, shift to gunships or strats so that you can start helping out your land players. And if you're losing air, then you need to communicate with your team and make sure that not only you, but everybody else is building SAMs, and or even try and help your teammates out because they might also be pressed pretty hard. So build SAMs for them as well if you can afford it. This is a team game. We either all win or we all lose. So at that point, you know, we got our Tech 3 mechs. We'd probably go for another one and then our third one here. Timed out on a mass storage. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. Yeah, so I think that's about it for this particular video. Hope it was helpful for y'all. This is probably one of the most commonly things that I get asked in Discord is whenever I'm playing games is how I actually play air, or how to play air. And I think that this is a good starting point. I'm not a pro. I'm not amazing at this game. Y'all know that. Y'all watch my videos. But hopefully if you're, you know, under 1,000 looking to get started, or maybe a player that's over 1,000 that's just really uncomfortable with air, hopefully this can get you started and going down in the right direction. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all in the next one. Peace.